In this first example, the plane is accelerating down the runway before it takes off. Because the plane is accelerating, there is an unbalanced force acting on the plane. The thrust force is greater than the drag, causing the plane to accelerate forwards. Since the plane is on the ground, there are two frictional forces acting on the plane: air resistance and the friction between the plane tires and the runway. As the plane moves forward, a lift force acting upwards is generated from air moving over the plane's wings. The plane also has another upward force acting on it, the reaction force of the plane's weight acting against the ground. Since the plane is not moving up or down, the forces of lift and reaction force must be in balance with the weight force of the plane. As the plane speeds up and generates more lift, eventually this force becomes greater than the weight force and the plane takes off. As the plane leaves the Earth, there is no more reaction force acting upwards, only lift. In this scenario, the thrust force is greater than the drag force, and the lift force is greater than the weight force, causing the plane to accelerate in an upward and forward direction. Eventually, the plane climbs to reach its cruising altitude. At this altitude, the pilot maintains a constant thrust. In this scenario, all the forces are balanced out. The lift force is equal to the weight force, since the plane is not moving up or down, and the thrust force is equal to the drag force, since the plane is moving at a constant speed. When the pilot starts the descent of the plane, he reduces the amount of thrust force, therefore making the drag force greater, which slows down the plane. Since less thrust is applied, and also since the plane is angled downwards, less lift is produced, which causes the plane to begin to fall. However, the pilot will very carefully alter the thrust and angle of descent so that the plane descends in a controlled manner. When the plane touches down on the runway, the reaction force of the ground once again acts against the weight of the plane. A great force is required to stop the plane moving forwards when it lands, so the engine is used to provide a reverse thrust. In this case, air resistance, the braking force between the tires and the runway, and the reverse thrust are all being used to slow the aircraft down.